This Bing Fire Daymaster is born in the peak hour, and so by convention would be regarded as Bing Fire born in a non-timely hour. So this Bing Sheet Daymaster would be regarded as weak by way of the fact that it is not a bright sun, but a night sun. Now, there might be some small voice out there that says, but there is support from the Ting Fire. And doesn't the Bing Wu Ye pillar count for something? And there's a partial 3-harmony combination between the dog and the horse. Don't all these factors add to the strength of this Bing Fire Daymaster? Unfortunately, no. To understand why, we need to go back to basics and ask ourselves this question. Why do we need to establish the strength of the Daymaster? It is in essence a sort of bridge towards understanding a more opaque topic, which is what is the fundamental quality of a given chart. The fundamental quality of a chart is one of those how long is a piece of string topics. Many different factors come into play when we're trying to evaluate the fundamental quality of a chart. You may have heard of some of these qualifiers. They go something like this. Does this chart reveal a beautiful picture? Or, does the chart follow its structure? Or, are the stars present usable to Daymaster? Or, are the stars in the right palace? Now for the beginners, this is all probably a bit too much. You just want to know, is it a good chart or a bad chart? Which is why we focus on the strength of the Daymaster, because this automatically leads to something a little bit useful called the favorable and unfavorable elements. And evaluating the chart from the aspect of favorable and unfavorable elements allows us to arrive at some kind of answer about the fundamental quality of the chart by way of the very simplistic measures of good or bad. Using favorable and unfavorable elements also allows us to form some simple conclusions. For example, if a weak Daymaster is surrounded by its favorable elements, we might lean towards thinking it's a good chart. If a strong Daymaster lacks its favorable elements, then we might lean towards the conclusion that it's not such a good chart. Disclaimer, I'm applying these references very broadly, exceptions always exist, and everything actually really does depend on the chart. Now, the problem with Bing Fire is some of these conventional guidelines get thrown out the window. Let me explain. When a Daymaster is strong, it's almost always because of friends and rob wealth or resource. This is the only two ways in which a Daymaster can be strong. But in the case of Bing Fire specifically, strength from these two stars is not an automatic given. Let me explain why. Let's take the resource element. The resource element of Bing Fire is wood, Jia wood or Yeet wood. In the 5-element production cycle, theoretically wood produces fire. But in reality, Jia or Yeet wood rely on Bing to grow them, not the other way around. You can burn the entire Amazon forest and all you will do is produce quite a lot of smoke and tinder, but virtually no sunlight. Bing is its own resource if you like. So resource does not actually strengthen or produce Bing Fire. So what about rob wealth or friend? Let's take the friend star. The friend star of Bing is another Bing. In this chart, there is another Bing Fire found in the heavenly stem of the Year pillar. Now, a universe cannot have two suns. The sky does not have two suns. There can only be one sun. Once you have two, we're talking life on Mars maybe. Bing Fire seeing another Bing Fire on the stem effectively cancels out the question of strength, because when there is a second Bing in the chart on the stems, this is considered a singular setback for any Bing Fire Daymaster. It is an automatic downgrade of the chart to a lesser quality regardless of strength and favorable elements. Essentially, it's an automatic downgrade to economy. Note, this rule does not apply if the second Bing is in the earthly branches, such as inside the tiger or inside the snake. Well, what about Ting Fire, which is the rob wealth star to the Bing Fire Daymaster? Let us ask ourselves if Ting Fire can really lend strength, or in this case brightness, to a Bing Fire. No candle is required during the daylight hours when the sun is bright and visible. A candle comes out at night when the sun is not visible. No amount of candles can substitute for the illumination of the sun or the ability of the sun to grow things. Candles cannot make plants grow, only the sun can do this. So any Ting Fire in the chart is not actually lending any illumination or brilliance to the Bing. Worse, it's making Bing feel very insecure because at night the star of the show is the candle, not the sun. Sibling rivalry is taken to new levels with Bing Fire people. So having companion stars like Friend and Rob Wealth, which conventionally lend strength to the Daymaster, is actually not the answer when it comes to a Bing Fire that is weak by virtue of being born at night. This is because when it comes to Bing, strength is not the principal consideration. Brightness and visibility are what we look at first and what matter the most. If you are a strong Bing but born at night, you are as good as a weak Bing born at night. By contrast, if you're a day-born Bing, you don't actually need to be strengthened because by your very existence being born in the day, you are bright and visible. So strength as a result of being born in season is a bonus. Now, all this obviously sounds very confusing, but the key thing to remember is when it comes to Bing, time overrides every consideration as far as the quality of the chart goes. How about the favorable and unfavorable elements? Well, how you derive these elements remains the same, meaning strong Bing favors output, officer, and wealth, weak Bing favors resource and companion. But how the Bing fire reacts to these elements becomes differentiated depending on whether it is weak and bright, weak and dim, strong and bright, or strong and dim. So a weak Bing fire is only an issue if you're born at night. If you're a weak Bing fire but born during the day, you still have the advantage of being a good quality Bing fire, and the way the rules work changes subtly. What is that subtle difference, you might ask? It is about how dim Bing fire, such as those born at night, perceives competition and camaraderie, which is the most obvious representation of the companion star. In the conventional perspective, a weekday master responds positively to competition and camaraderie from the Rob-Wealth star. This is because a weekday master needs to use Rob-Wealth and friends. In the case of a dim Bing fire, it needs the competition and rivalry as well as the camaraderie, but it feels like it's always the bridesmaid, never the bride, even when they are walking down the aisle. This is because Bing cannot ever share the limelight. In short, the dim Bing fire actively seeks out support from Rob-Wealth and friends because it needs it, but ultimately ends up resenting it. This, of course, does not mean that dim Bing fire cannot be successful. It's just that despite that, they may feel fundamentally unhappy, and they'll always be a little begrudging of everything in life. And as for the companion star, well, we know that is a non-starter. So if you are a dim Bing fire, meaning born at night, you arguably don't have any favorable elements per se because you can't really use any of it well. This doesn't of course mean night-born Bing fire cannot achieve success. They can, but how they feel about their success and the way that they get there is the bugbear that follows them through life. The daylight-born strong Bing moves through life with grace and magnanimity, whilst the night-born strong Bing achieves success but sieves because no one seems to know what they've achieved. Outlook is the defining difference when it comes to the difference between night and day. This is the last episode of Season 2 for my Strength of the Day Master series, and I think this has been a bit of a blockbuster by way of length, but I hope it has given you a deeper insight into Bing Fire Day Masters in particular and how the Strength of the Day Master can be singularly simple, but also in some cases quite the metaphysical puzzle. But on some levels, Bing is perhaps the easiest Day Master to judge, with time being of the essence literally. However, appreciating what it means to be a Bing Fire person born at night requires an understanding of character that is more than just working out the technical details. You've been watching the Strength of the Day Master series with the Parts Queen. See you in the next season.